Now, Trump is also facing very interesting results this week.
Yeah, this was extreme. So last week on the episode, we talked about a case in Colorado that was questioning whether Trump was eligible to run for office given the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says that you can't hold public office unless if you have taken part in an insurrection against the country. The judge, we got the ruling, and the judge found that Trump was not guilty, but on the most narrow grounds. The judge found that he did engage in insurrection on January 6th. She said through incitement, he did so. And the First Amendment does not protect Trump's speech, which is a huge deal.
Right.
Huge deal. Okay. But then she found that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, the relevant part, doesn't apply to Trump. And this is actually blowing my mind. This is insane. Okay. So this is what the amendment says. Quote, "No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state if they took an oath to support the Constitution and then engaged in insurrection." Okay? Here's the crazy thing. The judge said that the 14th Amendment doesn't refer to the presidency. Right? So that no person holding any office who took an oath to support the Constitution, that doesn't apply to Trump. And they're saying that she said that because the presidential oath is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, not to support the Constitution.
Oh,
I mean, how?
Dude, this is out of like a fucking skit. So
It's
by her logic, could Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, run for president of the United States?
Yeah.
Unbelievable,
Isn't
right?
that insane?
Unbelievable. How can you sit here and say that the guy engaged in insurrection, that he wasn't protected by his First Amendment rights, but even after all that, he is still allowed to run for the presidency?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And fortunately, this is going to be appealed. So we'll see what happens in the Colorado Supreme Court. And honestly, it's going to go up to the Supreme Court, which we talked about last week. So hopefully there's a chance. But we know the Supreme Court kind of just makes its own decisions about whatever it wants. So I don't know.
But like, if the rule doesn't apply to the presidency, why even have the rule?
Totally.
The presidency is the most important public office.
Yeah. It is the most bullshit letter of the law thing versus the obvious spirit of the law I've ever seen.
No, it's ridiculous. I honestly, when I read this, I couldn't fucking believe it. Like, the judge just has no balls. How can you sit here and say, yes, the guy did engage in insurrection, but he could still be our president?
Crazy.
How do you do that?
Absolutely crazy.
I wonder how that plays into his other legal cases, though, where we have a judge on record saying that he engaged in insurrection, right?
Yeah, it can't hurt. It definitely can't hurt the cases against him.
Right.
Right? Yeah, it's funny. It was funny to read what Trump's lawyer said afterwards because he was like, well, it's not exactly what we wanted to hear, but it's still a win.
Yeah, I know.
We'll
it's
take
like
it.
No, it's funny when Trump is like, no, all right, this is a good decision for us, nice. And then it's like, the judge said you engaged in insurrection, right?
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, it's wild.
It is wild.
I'm really curious to see where this goes, though, because like they are such narrow grounds, and obviously based on our reactions, it's so easy to see a way that they interpret it a different way that it could really happen, and then it could go to other states.
I just think no judge wants to be the one to kick Trump off the ballot.
Yeah, they're all scared, and what this judge specifically said was something about how part of her decision is a reluctance to make a decision that will exclude anyone from the ballot. So they're reluctant to impede the democratic process in any way. I think that's a big element to this.
That makes sense.
Yes.
And I get that. But isn't it, obviously, from my perspective, it's a greater
risk
to democracy by allowing somebody on the ballot who wants to destroy said democracy.
Yes, I agree with that. Very much so. But I don't know. I think they're scared to be that person.
I get, and you know, you always talk about that there's people behind these systems. That judge, if she puts Trump off the ballot, her life is in danger forever.
True.
Right?
Yes.
So there's a massive incentive for her to not go through with it, because just kick the can down to somebody else and maybe they'll make the right decision. She might be hoping that someone else makes a different decision.
Yeah.
Right? But she doesn't want to be the one to do it because she doesn't want to put her life in danger.
Totally.
Ugh.